Hello and welcome to this demo. Today we're talking about Centrify Privilege Service in depth, and first we're going to focus on the user experience. The user experience is very simple. Users are, when they access the Centrify Privilege Manager portal, they're welcomed with the dashboard. And depending on the administrative rights they have, they'll be able to see the resources, the accounts, top checkouts, the makeout of the resources, the health of the resources, an overlay map of who's being accessing which resource and from where, a abbreviated log in here, current password checkouts, and active sessions. As you can see, I have an active session to member 3. They also have the Workspace, and in the Workspace they have actually the things that they're currently doing, including favorite systems, if they have any checkouts and whatnot. Resources allow you to see all the resources that you have in terms of Unix, Linux, Cisco, Juniper, and all. Accounts show you basically all the accounts that are managed within those resources. And finally, there are settings. If you're an administrator, you can manage account permissions and resource permissions. Now let's talk about how people get to the Privilege Manager console in the first place. It's a web application. It's hosted within Centrify Cloud, and the access is very simple. If you are on premise, you will get SSO. Very simple. So when you're on premise, you have a Kerberos ticket. You access your browser. You open Privilege Manager, and just like CIS, you should get SSO normally. So that in itself actually allows organizations to get more productivity, and we're not creating an additional identity silo. Remember, many of solutions today, they may challenge the user to provide, even if it's their own AD credential, they don't have the leadership to provide SSO services. In addition, if users are coming from the outside or from an untrusted network, there's a different way that users get access. Notice in here I have a mobile device, and I have several things going on here. I'm trying to log in, right? And because I'm logging in from an external network, I'm going to be challenged to provide authentication. If my password is correct, I can use the mobile authenticator, email link, SMS, phone call, or even security question as a secondary factor. What's important here is the secondary factor is not a simple OTP. It's actually a workflow. This workflow gives you a lot of information, including the fact that perhaps you need to know the location. Because if you have a request of access that is from a country that you're not on, shouldn't you be able to say no to that? And here's the experience right here, right? So the user is actually being required to provide approval, and notice that it's saying the IP address and the location. All I need to do is to approve it, and I'm going to get a RESTful API call that is going to submit the code for me. If I need the typical OTP, one-time password, I also have the ability to do that as well. In the topic of mobile, end users also have the ability to access their resources centrally from mobile devices. So notice in here I have a few resources that I have available in another environment, in another mobile device. I can show you that I also have some resources. So in here, the resources page has been exposed for me, and this one has many more resources as well. So the experience of the end user is not limited to their desk. They get SSO if they're on premise. They get challenged if they are off premise, or if there's a policy that requires so. And users can actually use their mobile device for sessions, or even check out passwords. For example, if I wanted to check out a password from here, I could just check it out. But notice that I'm going to be required a secondary authentication, that in this case of my fingerprint, and I'm able to submit it. This is available for iOS and Android devices. Again, when behind the end user's experience, what you want is not only to give the information that the user needs, but also the ability for them to be able to access seamlessly from on-premise, with challenge if needed, in a very easy way with the right information. And also, if the user needs to combine their applications. Like for example, in here, my user has Salesforce, right? So my user has the ability to use Salesforce along with accessing a server. Perhaps they need access to a Windows machine, right? They can actually get that same experience either manually or should they need to, automatically as well. They can get an assisted session to a Windows server in this context. So part of what Centrify did was to make sure that the user experience in the context of privileged session brokering and shared account password management is the best that we can give out to users. And in the second set, we're gonna talk a little bit more about privileged session brokering and some of the other capabilities.